All right, here we go. The Fatty October Caddis. Rundown materials. We're going with size 10 dry fly hooks, just the regular shank, not the big long curved ones. Gonna roll with some the reddish brown hackle. A lot of times I'd use muskrat on this, but we're gonna be using some deer hair today. Orange foam, and I'm using the foam that has the little shiny side on it, just so you know. Then we're using some brown thread to offset that orange. And I'm going to be using some of the orange foam, this micro foam stuff that I usually don't like, but we're going to throw it on there today. And so this is what we're looking for, the Fatty. All right, so we'll start off with our size 10 hook. Go ahead and slam that in the vise real quick. All right, go ahead and start tying a nice little base onto here. Go ahead and snip off your little leftovers and then tie that down. Now I'm bringing my base back only to about right at the start of the tip. If you look at that of the barb there, the hook point. Then we're going to come right back up towards the front, stop right in there. Now, we're going to take our foam. We're going to go ahead and cut ourselves a little width here, about 2.5 inches wide, or long, sorry, maybe a 1/4 inch wide. And then we're just going to put this on the side of the hook, and we're going to wrap the hook. The goal is to wrap the hook like so. So if you can see this from the top, this is how it'll pinch onto the fly there. So let's go ahead and pinch this thing on there. And then I don't really just start tying it tight like that, because it'll start to spin it, if you can see that. Move the light a little bit. You see how it starts to spin it? I don't like that. So what I do is I just take a big soft loop. See how I didn't really tighten that down? It's just a big old soft loop. And once I get back to the bottom, I tighten it in. See how that kind of keeps it square? Then I'll even come back and I'll tie it in some myself, or twist it back straight myself, I mean. Then we're gonna make sure we want this right about there. And we're gonna tie it in back to that hook point. See how it starts to twist on me over the top? I really don't want that. I want it to stay kind of even right where it's at, so the fly is balanced. A lot of times we're always going for this balanced fly approach. I always say that. You hear me repeat that in a lot of my fly tying videos. And then I'll just get it somewhat tied in. And notice how I left this space from here back when I started my foam. That's a huge part. You need that to tie in later. So real simple on this one. We just come to the back. We just come over the top and we'll start wrapping back around the tail of this fly. As I wrap, I'm making little segments. See, that made a body segment. I'm going to do it one more wrap just to make it tight. And then we're going to do that again. And we're coming over the top and going cross on the back. You see how this looks from the top of the fly. I'll try to adjust. We're coming across the top like that. Up and across the top. Back down. I'm going to tie this one in twice here. Nice body segment. Then we're going to start coming back right over the top, right back into that other body segment. Notice how I pinch it and I'll hold the thread down so it doesn't come out of the place where I want it. Come right back. Boom. Body simple as that. There you go. You got your 3 body segments shining on the outside. Looks really good. It's coming up off the hook, so that hook shake will come down some, which I really like. So now, we'll go ahead and we'll grab some of our red hackle here. Get yourself a long piece because you're gonna have a fat body section in here. So you'll need that extra length of the feather to make sure you get enough wraps in. So I'm in desperate need of some new red hackle, but we'll make one of these ones work. How about this one right here? I like this one. Okay, now when we're tying this in, we're taking our feather. Don't forget, we're always stripping it back. Strip this back, and we're just gonna tie down the spine. If you don't do that, you'll have feathers sticking out everywhere. It really doesn't look that nice. So this is how we're gonna do it. All right, now we're gonna tie this thing right across the top of the fly. That's simple. Spine's tied down. We bust our feather to the side a little bit like that so we can make some space to tie other stuff in. Now this is where I go ahead and I start to tie in some deer hair. Take our deer hair here. Here, listen to that. All right, we're gonna cut us off a section. Just get yourself a decent grip of it. And go ahead and cut it off low. And that's what you're looking with. Then we're gonna pull out all these smaller feathers on the, or fibers on the bottom, sorry. I'm gonna pull this out. What we want is that look right there. That's what we're looking to come off the back. So then we're gonna cut it down to size so that it fits on the hook nicely. Now we're gonna lay this right across the top of the hook. Getting some more of those bottom feathers out, fibers. And then I like to make a nice clean flush end. See how that's all jagged right there? I don't want to tie that in. I want that to be nice and clean and straight, more like that. Same thing, we do that big loop to tie it down directly on top. Tie it all in nice and tight. Boom, that's what we're looking for. And you can do this all with all different sorts of colors. If you want dark, usually I'll use muskrat on the top of these, but today I decided to use some deer hair. And it really doesn't matter. It's like there's no mistakes. We're like Bob Ross, only make happy accidents. Okay, now we're gonna take some of our orange fiber next that we got. I'm gonna take some of this stuff up, pull it apart. Ooh, baby's coughing over there. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and tie it in. Okay. Tie it on, and notice how there's that big buildup on the body of, you know, we got deer hair in there, we got foam in there. I'm not worried about it getting too big. A lot of people are, but we are definitely not worried about that today. We want that. We're looking for that big fatty look, that big fat caddis look. And a lot of times it's just to attract them. It's not like you're actually imitating what the caddis actually looks like. You're just more throwing out a big pattern that looks like it, and sometimes it works, sometimes it just scares them. But in October, when you have a bunch of these caddis coming off, it seems that it always tends to work. Notice how I just wrap this on there to get as much of that orange look in there as I can. Then I'll start to come back towards the front. And see why I left that space I was talking about earlier to tie in. Very important to have. Let's go ahead and do a couple quick ties right there. I'll snip that off. Okay, now we still have our hackle left on that. You can see it's still sticking off the other side. So we're gonna go ahead and bring that around. And don't forget, whichever way you wrap, if you like to wrap on the top coming back towards you over this way, it's fine. If you like to wrap that way, it's fine, no big deal. The big thing you gotta do is whichever way you wrap this thing in the same direction. Meaning if I was wrapping over the top this way, I wanna take my hackle the same direction. That way when I tie the hackle in, it's gonna twist it with the spin. Where if you come the other way, it goes against the way you've been tying and it wants to unwrap. So this is the way we're gonna do this. We're just gonna wrap it in the same exact direction that we started. Right up the back like that. And notice I'm going about every other, a little bit of spacing in between each wrap. See how I'll use my finger to hold it down too. If you're worried about letting it go or you keep letting it go, a lot of times I'll just hold it down with my finger for a second. Whoa, until it slips out like that. All right, now we got that hackle tied in. It's looking pretty decent. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this tip off. Now never throw away these tips. I always save these tips for ant wings and all sorts of other things, so it's great stuff. Do not throw them away. Go ahead and tie off the rest of that. Now normally you can use your whippet finish here. I haven't got to a fly shop since mine got busted a while back. It's been like a year at least. But so I just do a simple overhand knot like so. Do it again with the other side. Simple overhand knot. Tie it in. It's looking pretty good right there. Twist it all kind of straight. And I leave this in the back coming off pretty far. Since it's a, like I call it the fatty because it's super fat and it's attractive. It doesn't work if the fish are super sensitive, but if they're hitting hard, they'll see this big bug hit and they'll go after it. So that's why I leave this all kind of sporadic, going crazy on the top. It's not like all neat. I'm leaving it all kind of beat up on purpose. And that way, I think it just does better to attract the trout when it hits the water. But that's the fatty right there. October caddis, the fatty. Real simple, real easy to tie, really productive, especially if there's a good hatch going on, good weather and they're active. So that's what she looks like. Thanks for watching the video. I'm gonna be coming back here shortly with some more caddis patterns. I'm gonna take a little bit of a break and we'll be back on. Thanks for watching. Feel free to comment in the comments below where you're from, what you fish for, your favorite patterns, what your hometown lake or river is, whatever your water you fish is. Appreciate you watching. Thanks a bunch.